Hello, Planets, and welcome to Mariane Cresp podcast. In today's episode, I want to talk to you about a game changer that has made my habits and routines and daily scheduling a lot more successful than I would have done without it. We're talking about habit trackers and hopefully get you to understand how this little secret tool has helped me build effective habits. Let's roll. Now, picture this. We planned our planners for the day, for the week, for the month. We've got everything in place of how we want our day to look like. But unfortunately, life gets in the way of what really matters to us. We'll have a phone call, an email that comes through that may cause disarray or havoc into your well-planned day or even week. Now, whether you want to be reading more, exercising more, spending quality times with your loved ones, we seem to be finding ourselves stuck into the busyness of having lots of tasks and to-do lists. And so all those mundane tasks. But what I want to talk to you about is a little solution that I have been using probably since 2017 when I first started bullet journaling in dot grid A5 journals. So if you're a little bit intrigued about this, let's explore this a little bit more. Now, the first thing you want to do is create a system or a process, sort of like a recipe. You know how when you want to make a cake and you want to be able to make the same flavor, the same consistency. Now, I'm not a baker, so if I'm using the wrong terminology, do forgive me. But I know with recipes, you have the ingredients and then you have the step-by-step instructions on how to, let's say, bake a cake for it to turn out the same way every time. So we can also have these things planned for our day, but with the things, the maze of life that comes through, sometimes we may get detoured or we may have to do something else. So a habit tracker is like your guide. It's like your map or your GPS guide that will help guide you through the maze of life. It's not just a task list. It's not just a to-do list. It's like a roadmap that tells you how to be your best self, right? Also, have a think about habit trackers as your little friend that gives you that little bit nudge and says, hey, remember you said you want to read more. Hey, remember you said you want to exercise at least 3 times this week. So it's that little nudge that helps you stay on course, that ensures that you are going towards the goals that you want and you have set for yourself. So I want to dive into the basic of creating an effective habit tracker. So an important thing I want to talk about is consistency. I'm sure you've heard a lot of productivity gurus and experts that tell you how to build better bodies, build better health, build better mindset. That consistency is the key. It's just like having the right ingredients for a recipe. A habit tracker is like your cookbook. It helps provide you a step-by-step guide on what to add to that pot of life. It's not going to be about perfection. It's going to be about progress. You know how when they say when you make a pancake, that first pancake is always not the best one because it's sort of like that practice run. A habit tracker, look at it as a tool to help you being consistent, not perfect. All right, so it helps you progress to the next step, building those habit muscles. And habit tracker is your friendly reminder that says, hey, maybe you've missed a day. Let's get back on track and pick up where you left off from yesterday. So what happens when life throws curveballs? We know that as much as you plan the day, you've got your morning routine, you've got your cleaning, you want to unplug a little bit, you want to have a little bit of self-care, ensure you're also scheduling your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, so you are having those breaks and eating, so you're not, for me, you don't become the hangry mum and the cranky mum. So it's important that we plan as we go. But we all know life happens, plans plans crumble, schedules tumble, and then that's where the habit tracker, as I said, comes in. If you can think of it as a stakeholder on the ground that says you are here, you want to go there, and these are the steps you need to take to get there. So even in the chaos, your habit tracker will help remind you that if you continue on that journey and be persistent and be consistent, those little step by step, even if you do miss a day or two, will help guide you towards your goal. It's that little lighted pathway will help guide you. I always liken my habit tracker and my habit tracking as those little lights that you see on the aisle of the movie theaters, the cinemas. So if you happen to go into the theater a little bit later and the previews of the other movies that are coming up, so if those have already started, the lights have dimmed, and if you need to get to row J, seat 32, those habit tracker is like those little lights up and down the aisle, up the stairs, that will help guide you to your seat. So think of habit tracker as lighted pathway in the dark that will help keep you grounded. Now, for me, habit trackers also is a little form of reward. As a planner, sometimes it's the reward of actually crossing off or ticking off your checklist is the thing that brings you joy rather than the actual activity or routine or habit itself. So when those dopamine hits when you're checking off your completed task, it gives you that little bit of burst of highs. Boom! It's like a little celebration of task done. It's like your little pat on the back. Good on you, Marianne. You've done an exercise today. Tick. And it's like, yes, it's like those little woohoo, little celebrations. So crossing off your habit tracker becomes a little log of these tiny little wins that you do each and every day to get to the goal that you have set for yourself. So even on tough days when, maybe you have dropped the ball a little bit and you missed a day or two, you can still see those little cross check marks, or if you color your habit tracker, it's that you're making a little bit of progress. What happens if you set at the beginning of the month or at the beginning of the year that you want to do a certain task? Like for me, for example, adding movement and working out and adding some sort of cardio into my weekly routine is important because I'm 49 years old. I want to make sure that I'm looking after myself, that I have put things in place to make sure that I've looked after myself. So one of my goals is to make sure I'm adding movement and workout in my day. Now, of course, things may change. Maybe I may not be able to if I'm sick. Change is going to happen, and change is constant. It's something that we have to foresee may happen. So we also need to make sure that we're able to pivot and change as things change in our lives, and then realign ourselves. Your habit tracker will allow you to see that if there are certain things that maybe you're missing out too often, you get to go and review it. It's like a little visual bird's eye view that allows you to review, why aren't I hitting the marks on certain things, especially when I know it's something that I want to do, I know it's something that matters to me. Like, for example, when I was reviewing my habit tracker for January 2024, I could see right away that there are certain habits I couldn't hit, like making sure I update my daily expense tracker and actioning some cleaning tasks here in our small apartment. It's because I was leaving those tasks or habits that I wanted to achieve too late in the day when my energy level isn't as high as it is in the morning when I action a lot more stuff. So my habit tracker allowed me to pivot and realign my goals so then it fits within my energy level, within the scheme of things of what I do throughout the day. And so I moved right away halfway through January rather than waiting until the end of the month to go and change things up. I moved my cleaning and my expense expense tracking a lot earlier in the day. I used to have it after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and by that time I was really already stuck on the couch scrolling through my phone, having my afternoon break, and really a lot of the times I don't get to action all those habits that I have set for later in the afternoon or the evening. So your habit tracker allows you to pivot and realign your goals, so then that way you're not going to feel guilty, or you're not going to feel like you're a failure if you don't go and action those habits. Just recalibrate, change up your habit tracker, put a little piece of paper over it and rewrite the order that your habits are, so then it realigns with how your day or your week is going. Then that will allow you to move forward and not be so hard on yourself that you haven't actioned the habits that you have set for yourself. Now, the great thing as well, as a planner and as a visual learner and a lover of pen to paper planning, getting your thoughts down on paper, your habit tracker is more than just a page in your planner. It's your accountability partner. Like I said, it shouts, hey, you said you wanted to do this. You're the one who set these goals for yourself, and now you're not actioning them. Why? Make sure that you are. So try and do just 2 minutes of this today, even if you don't feel like you can read for 10 minutes. How about read 1 page of a book? Sometimes getting started is the thing that gets you over the hurdle. So it's that little accountability partner that tells you, come on, let's see how, even if we can just do a little bit of it. Maybe just walk around the block for 5 minutes, or maybe just do some star jumps, 10 star jumps, or 10 push-ups, or 10 sit-ups. Your habit tracker will visually show your progress. Those days that you do miss, don't think of them as dropping the ball or failing that you didn't get to action the habits you've set for yourself. Look at it as a learning tool. What can you learn from those missed days? Just like I learned that setting some of my habits in the afternoon wasn't very productive because my energy level wasn't at a high, so I moved it. I learned really quickly by visually seeing that my habit tracker wasn't getting filled in. What can I do, and what do I need to do to get myself back on track? Another great thing about habit tracking and how it's such a helpful tool for me in building effective habits is in those small little details, in those small little squares. It shows you those victories. Your habit tracker is your little cheerleader, turning tasks like reading for 5 minutes, or cleaning the bathroom, or cleaning for 10 minutes in your house or your apartment, that it turns those tasks into fantastic achievements, that you've done something that mattered to you today. A habit tracker helps you celebrate those little wins, those things that matter to you. So that is why habit tracking, I have found, is my little secret to achieving the habits and the goals that matter to me. So for me, the habits that I want to create, I have 7 key areas of focus. Spiritual, mental, physical, finance, career, family, and social. So for me, these are meditating in the morning, reading 10 to 15 minutes of a book that I want to read, making sure that I put in some workout, whether it's 5-10 minutes worth of a cardio or walking around the block. Also making sure that we're tracking our expenses to make sure we know as a family where our money goes, so we're not wondering where it went. I need to make sure that I am doing activities that help contribute to the finance of our family household. Also connecting with loved ones, whether catching up for coffee or having dates with my husband, or texting or FaceTiming family and friends. And then of course also making sure that I am cleaning the household. I think, did I say the cleaning? Yeah, so those 7 key areas. Now you can create your own areas of focus that fits into your life. It doesn't have to be those 7 key areas. Some people have 8, some people have 10 areas of focus. So whatever is important to you, create simple daily habits that will move the needle a lot closer to the goals that you want to achieve. Now, habit tracking, you can track one thing at a time, two things, three things. For me, I track quite a few things in my habit tracker only because I use those habits that I have already established, that are already habitual. I don't even have to think about it technically. I don't need to track it or have something to remind me, but I use those to stack on the new habits that I want to create, so that it's sort of like a little stepping stone, again, like your list of ingredients. Add this, when you've added this, add that, or when you've done this, do this next. So you can track multiple habits in your tracker. So it's going to be up to you. If it's too many and it's going to be too overwhelming, strip it back to just two important things you want to build up on. You know, it's your own canvas. So make sure it's something that fits within your day and within your planning time as well. So if you know you don't have a lot of time to plan or mark things off on a regular basis, maybe just one or two things on your habit tracker. And I like to review my habit tracker, if not on a weekly basis, at least middle of the month and at the end of the month. So then that way you don't turn around and go, you know, 2 months later, oh my goodness, I haven't been reading at all because I haven't tracked my habits and I haven't reviewed my habit tracker. So if you can, try and review it as regularly as possible, if not weekly, at least mid-month and at the end of each month. And then that can help your productivity because it'll help you break down your goals into manageable, small, actionable steps. So it's really, really important. Your habit tracker is not too general or too broad, just like read. For me, on my habit tracker, it says read, but I know it's read in the morning 5 to 10 minutes each day, and then that's all it is. So sometimes if it's only 5, fantastic, I've hit my goal, right? If it's 10 or more, even better. Don't be stuck onto the nitty-gritty of things. Just make sure you give yourself a little range, so then you don't feel bad that you don't read up to 10 minutes if that's what you have. So you have a range, 5 to 10, or work out 3 to 5 days a week. Do you have any hurdles or obstacles when it comes to tracking your own habits? Now, I know the community that I have asked, they've been habit tracking in the past, not as successful or not as consistent. Do let me know in the comment section, what struggles do you have when it comes to tracking habits that you know you want to get better at? And then that way, hopefully, we can work together as a team, as a community, and be able to help each other and go, hey, maybe try this or maybe try that. Let me know in the comment section what it is that you are struggling with, and if you track your habits on paper or are you tracking it digitally on an app or on your phone. I'd love to hear your experiences. Now, I do appreciate you listening to this podcast about how you can use Habit Tracker as a tool to help you create progress, to help you create effective habits towards goals that matter most to you. Have your habit tracker not as a chore, have it as your little friend that helps keep you accountable, a friendly reminder to be more intentional with the things that you do in your life and action things that matter to you and not what matters to someone else. Make sure, create habits that's important to you. I want you to enjoy tracking habits, creating habits that build a better you, build a happier you. So if you're new to habit tracking, stay tuned because I am creating a free, simple habit tracker for the novice, or even for those of us that have been tracking our habits, but then there might be certain habits that you haven't quite mastered yet. Sometimes stripping it back to just focusing on the 1 to 2 habits that you want to get better at might be an opportunity to use simple habit tracking. So in the description, I have a wait list that you can sign up for a free, simple, printable habit tracker. Until next time, I do appreciate you. I'm Marianne. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast, and make sure to subscribe to my channel so then you get to know when I upload new videos and new podcasts. And so hit that notification bell, and I will see you or talk to you in the next episode. Bye everybody. Happy planning. Bye-bye. Here we go. My first YouTube podcast. I gotta get my glasses all clean. Hang on, hang on. Let's see how this goes. So this is my first podcast on the YouTube channel. What do they call them? This is where the brain fog comes in. The